Hello everybody, I'm Liam O'Neill. Welcome to Eye on China. Thanks for joining us. To vaccinate or not to vaccinate, despite how you feel about the question, laws on the books in most of the free world still at least allow it to be asked. Not so in China, as you might expect. Communist Party Chairman Xi Jinping's obsession with zero COVID policy means there is no such thing as a vax or not option. Today, we'll dig from a different angle into why this might be the case. China beat the world in vaccine production, approving the world's first in June 2020 and then producing at least 5 billion doses by early this year. Sinovac is the name you may have heard. It's the most widely distributed vaccine worldwide for Chinese and developing nations in Africa, South America, and Southeast Asia. Just like early in the pandemic, China used its manufacturing prowess to play face mask diplomacy. It was when it gave face masks to some countries but threatened keeping masks from others. So too, later in the pandemic, its distribution of Sinovac doses to the developing world were diplomatic wins. Problem is, the vaccines from China are not that effective. Late last year, studies ahead of Omicron showed that Sinovac and Sinopharm vaccines were all but worthless, reducing severity of infection only slightly and doing next to nothing to thwart infection. And then there's this problem. The vaccines make some people very, very sick. This video is from July, and it tells the story of a 98-year-old man who was in critical condition after he was forcibly vaccinated without his or his family's consent. Loss of pension and insurance, denial to public facilities and transportation. These aren't the only threats the elderly receive if they express vaccine hesitancy. Their children could lose their jobs. Their grandchildren could be kicked out of school. Mistrust in vaccines among elderly Chinese, however, is some of the highest in the world, and so internet police have been working hard to keep videos like you just saw off of the internet. Obviously, vaccination is part of the zero COVID strategy. But even with a more effective vaccine, reaching zero COVID, according to many health experts, is an irrational scheme that has done more harm than good, crippling China's economy and hurting or even killing an untold number of people. We've shown before on this channel how it's Xi Jinping's obsession with power ahead of the Party Congress this fall that is fueling his zero COVID policies. But if we follow the money, we see that he may be motivated by other reasons too. Sinovac Biotech is a biopharma company based in Beijing. Before 2019, the small company was struggling financially, but COVID changed everything. In record time, June 2020, the Sinovac vaccine was approved. That's at least 6 months before Pfizer, Moderna, or AstraZeneca received their approvals. After producing more than 3 billion doses, the company reported an astounding $19 billion in profits, 37 times higher than those in 2020. It's also $10 billion higher than Moderna's earnings. And while Pfizer had a 27% net income margin, Sinovac 75% earnings. These numbers are already red flags that there may have been some corruption involved. But there are two more facts. Number one, despite the extremely high profit and net income margin, the company has not paid any dividends. This is interpreted by some as a sign of complicated profit allocations, simply power struggles, among the well-connected at the top of the company. Second reason, one of the powerful entities may be another company named Sinobiopharma. It purchased 15% of Sinovac for about $515 million immediately after vaccine approval. That was a bargain price given the timing. Everyone knew Sinovac was poised to make tons of money, and it certainly didn't need any other investment at the time. So Here's where our story gets really juicy. Xi Jinping is connected directly to Sino-Biopharma, and that is through his nephew. Sino-Biopharma is a subsidiary of Thailand's largest private conglomerate, Karen Pukphand, or the CP Group. The Chia family owns it. The Chia clan comes from Chinese immigrants and has a long and close relationship with the senior-most leadership of the CCP. In 1979, for instance, the CP Group established Communist China's first ever joint venture in Shenzhen. In 1990, Deng Xiaoping met with the CP Group senior executive, Mr. Tsai Kung-min. That same chairman is still active, and he recently published a statement on behalf of the Chinese community in Southeast Asia saying that Xi Jinping's socialist ideology with modern Chinese characteristics contributes greatly to the wisdom of the world. Mr. Tsai Kung-min's brother has a granddaughter, Miss Teresa Tsai, and she is apparently quite the whiz kid. At only 23, she started to head up biopharma. She's now 29. In March 2020, she is said to have married Communist Party Chairman's nephew, Xi Jinping. And so that's the connection. Through marriage among elites, Xi Jinping is connected to the world's most profitable vaccine company. Young Xi Jinping has all the trappings of a red princeling. He graduated from Georgetown University's Institute for the Study of Diplomacy. He earned a master's from the Marxist Academy at Tsinghua University in Beijing, where he also co-authored several articles with the school's director. And now he is the CCP secretary at a village outside of Beijing. He's already climbed several rungs on the party's ladder. He's certainly been able to cash in on his uncle's position, and a recent order from the very top helped even more. You may recall that Xi Jinping, for much of his tenure, has been very concerned about ridding the party of corruption. Party leaders' extended family members under his leadership have not been allowed, at least in theory, to conduct certain businesses. Recently, he changed that, however, leaving restrictions in place for only children and spouses. Nephews, nieces, cousins, etc., they're all exempt. So, Xi Jinping's relationship with Sino-Biopharma and its 15% share in the multi-billion-dollar Sinovac is all clear by China's books. With no end in sight for COVID-0 policies and tens of millions of Chinese, hundreds of millions more in the developing world who haven't received one dose of the vaccine, there's plenty more money to be made. On behalf of our team at Eye on China, thanks for joining us once again. And please, as always, leave a comment, like, and please do subscribe. We'll see you next time.